Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Friday Charge from the EV Geek Podcast. We're your hosts, Joel and Sebastian. And today, December 5th, 2024, today's episode might as well just be called the Tesla Show because it seems like every topic we have today has something to do with Tesla. There's a lot going on over these last 2 weeks now in the world of Tesla. So without further ado, let's plug in and get started. So our first topic is actually maybe not completely about Tesla, is that ISO 15118 is officially official. Now, Joel, do you have any idea what ISO 15118 is?
So I have said many times in this podcast that you are the techie guy when it comes to this stuff. So, I can kind of figure out by looking at the notes here, but I'm going to let you go ahead and explain it. And I'm going to learn too.
So ISO 15118 is the standard that has been developed that establishes basically rules and processes for plug-in charge. Which plug-in charge you, a Tesla owner, are very familiar with because that's basically all you do.
Yep.
There's no screen on a Tesla Supercharger, blah, blah, blah. You just plug in and go, right? ISO 15118 is an attempt to basically make that experience universal, right? And a partnership with the SAE, automakers, EV CPOs, and the Biden administration have announced yesterday, I believe, or today, a new framework for universal plug-in charge. So its universal plug-in charge is based on the ISO 15118 standard, and then it's building on that further. And they're planning to roll it out over the course of 2025. So universal plug-in charge is going to allow automakers and CPOs to work together to make it where you basically set up payment info in one place, and then you can take your car to any CPO that supports it, just plug in, they have your payment info, that's it. No apps, no fiddling around with, you have to load $10 at a time on Electrify America, and when you go down below $5, they're going to take another $10 out. None of that. They just have your payment information. And part of the way they're building on ISO 15118 is the way ISO 15118 currently works is basically you can only have one of these certificates on your car at a time, right? So like you can plug and charge, but then it's up to the CPO to basically use the same certificate no matter what CPO you're on, and so that causes some issues. Part of its universal plug and charge building upon it is to make it to where you could have multiple certificates installed on your car.
Question, who is going to control this app or one-stop shop that you go to?
So from what I understand, it will be your automaker.
Okay.
So they will have somewhere for you to go in and set up payment methods with the automaker, and then that will be kind of how the payment gets processed, is my understanding of it.
Gotcha. If I own a Nissan and want to charge at a Tesla Superstation, I don't have to go to the Tesla app. I should be able to go to my Nissan app and do everything in there. If I want to go to a charge point, I just go to my Nissan app and do everything in there. No matter what the CPO is, I can do it from my manufacturer's app. Correct?
Yeah, and in reality, you shouldn't need to do anything from the app other than just set up the payment the first time.
Gotcha.
From there, you should be able to just pull into whatever chargers participate, and then just plug in. And then when you're done, unplug.
I guess the question is, we got to get all the chargers to participate. So
right. This is kind of similar to what we have seen Ford and Rivian do when they joined the Tesla Supercharger Network, right? To where they're able to do just plug and charge on Tesla Superchargers, and like on Rivian's even, it shows the pricing and the total of cost of a charge on the Rivian screen, on your screen, whatever, and then there's no additional payment set up, right? So it's the same principle.
Gotcha.
But hopefully we'll see it roll out to more automakers, because there's some that currently support ISO 15118, right? They can do plug and charge on Electrify America, for example. And then we've seen EVgo do what they call auto charge, which is not using ISO 15118. It's using essentially Mac-based authentication. And that's why they can work with basically any EV, because they're not using certificates or anything like that. They're just looking for a unique identifier that gets passed when you plug in your car. Anyway, it's a whole technical mess.
Yes.
But it's good to see that maybe we're moving closer to a standard, or this will be a relevant XKCD where it's, there's a new standard and then there's 15 standards and then...
Yeah, I mean, it's needed because, if I look at my phone right now and click on my little charging folder, I got 12 apps in there that I need. Oh, where am I at? Oh, I'm at a Francis Energy. Okay, with the Francis Energy app. Or I'm at some weird place that I've never charged at before. It's at a hotel. I got to open up that app, So yeah, Yeah, we just want to make this is the one, kind of bad rap we've heard about charging is you got to use all this stuff. This is where gas stations, have the leg up. You just go there, tap your credit card, and you're good to go. No problems there.
Yeah.
With charging, you got to navigate through some apps. So anything to make the user experience more friendly is fine by me.
Yeah, and that's ultimately where I'm at, right?
Yep.
It's like plug and charge is great, but honestly, I wouldn't care about plug and charge if I could just be guaranteed that every charger I go to has a functioning credit card terminal, right?
Yep.
Where I could just swipe a card and that be that.
Yep. And the problem is most don't, because even if they do have a terminal, a lot of times it's not covered. It's in the elements. At least at a gas station, it's covered. So if you get a torrential downpour, it's not going to get wet. But at an EV charging station it's not covered, that system is getting wet. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Let's go to our first Tesla subject. Tesla has added the ability to buy out leases. Now, we live in Arkansas, and you can't lease Teslas in Arkansas, so this doesn't really apply to us, but we'll talk about it anyway. So they've launched this ability to buy out the leases on all of their current available models. So Cybertruck, SX, 3Y, all of them. And it's retroactive too. So if you are currently in a lease on one of those models, you now have the ability to buy out that lease, even though that was not available in the original terms of the lease, which is pretty neat. Also cool on this is it means that third-party dealers can buy out your lease as well. So if you want to trade in your leased Tesla for another vehicle, you can now do that. You previously really couldn't. Interestingly, and this is just speculation, okay? Tesla has previously claimed that they didn't allow lease buyouts because they intended to take the off-lease vehicles and use them for their robo-taxi, cybercab, whatever fleet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder with this change if they have either decided they have enough cars for the fleet, or if they are just going to go all in and only really use cybercab for the robo-taxi fleet if it ever actually comes to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like I said, it doesn't pertain to us because we can't lease in our state, which is a whole nother episode we could probably do. But yeah, I think with the release of the robo-taxi, that car in the next couple of years, I think they're seeing maybe the need. They don't need to buy all these vehicles back and then possibly have to do maintenance on them. So now we're not only buying the vehicle back, but now we're going to have to incur some maintenance on it, whether that be, what it looks like, whether it be internal stuff. So just probably a way for them just to cut costs, just say, hey, if you want the car, fine, buy it, whatever, whoever wants the car, fine, buy it. It's out of our hands. And they don't have to worry about having that inventory, selling that inventory. So, yep. I think Tesla's finding ways just to save money.
Yeah. Moving on to another Tesla-related topic, Nissan is gaining access to the Tesla Supercharger Network, and if you think you've heard this story before, it's because you have, but this time it's for real.
It's for reals!
So starting December 10th, Nissan Aria owners are going to gain access to the Tesla Supercharger Network. The other EV model currently sold by Nissan, the Leaf, will not gain access to the Supercharger Network due to its reliance on the dying CHAdeMO standard. Wah, wah.
Womp, womp, womp.
Interestingly, Aria owners who purchase the OEM charging adapter are also going to be receiving a small plastic piece that the Aria owners will have to permanently install in their charging port in between the DC pins. And they're having to do this to prevent damage when using the supercharger adapter. So the Aria has a really kind of interesting charge port. So I know you've seen CCS ports plenty. On the bottom where you have your two DC pins.
Yep.
Almost every car, that's all kind of one solid plastic housing, right?
It's usually covered by the little flap that you hit. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, the space in between the two pins is just solid plastic.
Yes.
On the
two
Aria,
separate pieces, yeah.
Yeah, on the Aria, you have your two pins, and then there's just space in between them.
Oh, okay.
And so my theory on this is that you have to insert this it looks like a little wedge, and it goes in between them. And my theory on it is because, there's not that structural rigidity in between the two pins when the adapter is sitting on it. And since the adapter is going to stick out and then the handle is going to stick out behind it, you're going to end up having that happen.
Yep.
Unless you reinforce the pin.
That'll eventually would just, those pins will get bent and things like that. So yes.
Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. It's kind of a interesting design decision. And it makes me wonder why Nissan had to be different when they did their CCS port compared to everyone else. But whatever. You only have to do it for one time, right? It's not like you're having to take it in and take it out every time you charge or use a completely custom adapter. It looks like it's the same Tesla supplied adapter that all the other OEMs are making, just with an extra chunk of plastic in the box.
Yeah. So according to the article that Nissan released, it looks like it's going to be $235 for the kit, and you can actually start ordering them today. So they already have them. Well, I don't know if they have them in stock or not, but you can start ordering today. You can all do all this through the My Nissan app as well. It looks like so.
Yeah. Interesting that it's $235. So they're charging like $10 for that piece of plastic.
Yep. Because everyone else charges $225 for their adapters. So no word if they're making them or if someone else is making them for them. So correct.
Correct.
Well, okay, gotcha.
Tesla, I believe, is making them. I'm gonna share my screen real quick.
Yes. Okay. Share
just
away.
so you can see.
Yep.
There's a piece of plastic. There's that little wedge.
So, question is, what if you lose that wedge? Do you get another wedge?
I don't know. I thought there was a picture in the article that actually showed it installed, but yeah, I don't know. I guess whatever.
Yep.
Stop. It won't let me stop my screen share.
Well, I can't stop it.
There it goes.
There we go. Okay.
The button was grayed out for some reason.
I was going to share my screen. No, I was going to share that. I don't know. People who listen to us on the audio podcast, like, what are they doing? So yeah.
Moving on, Tesla has shut down Cybertruck production for 3 days. So Tesla has halted production for 3 days, and they have told their line workers at Giga Texas to stay home, and that the employees are also going to be paid for the 3 days. Speculation has started because Tesla doesn't do PR or whatever. Speculation has started that this is due to a sharp decrease in demand for the polarizing truck. I've seen tons of stuff about how there's lots full of them, blah, 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 blah. Of note as well on this, Model Y production has not stopped at Giga Texas, only Cybertruck production. So I've seen stuff, it's due to slowing demand, but I've also seen on the flip side that it could be due to some construction around Giga Texas that they needed to clear space and not have their line run for. I don't know. Tesla's not going to probably give us an answer anytime soon. But it is interesting because if it is a demand thing, it's interesting that it's only for 3 days. Or does it become more than 3 days?
Yeah, we start at 3 and then go on from there. So, yeah, I mean, you are right. The Cybertruck is a either you love it or hate it. It's like, oh yeah, it's kind of cool. It's not like, a Ford F-150 or Silverado where if you're a truck owner, that's a pretty cool car. I could drive it. People either love it or they hate it. And basically, we have to say Tesla kind of overpromised and under-delivered on the Cybertruck. It said it was going to have all this stuff in at a really great price, and it came out not having all the stuff it was, didn't have over what I think they said over 400 miles of range.
Yeah, it was going to have 500 miles of range and be like
$39,000.
$40,000.
Yeah, and it just never happened. So, I mean, if you don't make promises you can't keep is what I say. But I would there would be 3 or 4 other trucks I would choose over a Cybertruck if I have to. And it would basically be all of them. So I mean, it has no. And I'm a Tesla owner. I don't hate Tesla. I have a Model Y. I love the tech and everything about Tesla. Just not my cup of tea, and it serves no purpose for me. I mean, I would take an F-150 Lightning, a Silverado, Rivian, any of those over a Cybertruck any day. I mean, it doesn't really look like a truck to me. So
yep. Moving on to happy news, and this has got a lot of stuff to it. Tesla has announced the 2024 holiday update. So Joel, listen close because this is for you. So this thing's a doozy. There's tons of features, tons of tweaks. For starters, there's now a Tesla app available for Apple Watch. And you can use the Tesla app on Apple Watch to not only do remote actions, you can also use it as a phone key, watch key. I don't know what you're supposed to call it. Essentially, you can use your Apple Watch as the key. You don't have to have your phone. Interestingly, though, this app is only available on watchOS 11, meaning older Apple Watches can't run it. And just for context, I still daily a Apple Watch Series 5, and I am now stuck on watchOS 10. So even if I had a Tesla, I wouldn't be able to use this without then going and buying a new watch, which, boo.
Yep.
I know that's not real. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but boo.
Yeah.
Tesla is also adding auto shift to the new Model 3. This feature was previously launched on S and X, but has now made it to the refreshed Model 3. This is just neat to me. I still wonder when Model Y, but whatever.
Probably waiting on Juniper. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tesla is also bringing Sirius XM to the fleet. And interesting to me, the Model S and X are going to have actual satellite radio. So they have apparently always had the hardware for satellite radio. They've just never had it enabled. Model 3, Y, and Cybertruck are going to be using the streaming version of Sirius XM instead of satellite version. But I just thought it was cool. Who would have known that Model S and X would have satellite radio this whole time, and it was never available.
Yep. So I'm sorry. Go on. I thought you were done.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
No. Honestly, that's a kind of a key feature for me, because before, that's all I've ever used is satellite radio, and that's one of the things my wife hates when we travel in my car, because she likes her satellite radio. She likes to swap between stations. She likes that, and I was kind of bummed that Tesla didn't have it. But I work with Spotify. For me, it's fine. Spotify, Slacker Radio, whatever I decide to use, it's fine for me. But that's really cool. I'm glad they're going to bring that to them. That's one thing I am pretty psyched about.
Yeah, and for me, I'm a Spotify person. I just use all the different Spotify radio stations that I have, and that's good enough for me.
That's fine for me too.
Also big, and this is a feature I am shocked to know that Tesla didn't already do. You can now view and download your dash cam and Sentry footage from the Tesla app. So Joel, how did you do it before?
You showed it on the screen and you pulled your phone out and you recorded it.
Oh.
That's what I did. I mean, unless you unplug the thumb drive and put the thumb drive into a computer and download the clips. I mean, I guess that's the other way you can do it if someone else knows. I've never had to use it before. So if we have anyone else there listening who wants to comment about this, I mean, everyone I've seen on it just pulled it up and recorded it on their phone and shared it with, police officers if there's a wreck or something like that. So, but unless you have to physically go in there, pull it out, put it in to a computer, but then when you put it back in, you have to reformat it and things like that. So that's what I'm thinking. That's the only two ways I think it could possibly be done.
Interesting. Well, You'll finally be able to do this from your phone on the Tesla app.
I'm glad, because it's not very, user friendly going in there and getting the clips and viewing them and things like that. So I'm glad. So
I'm sorry. I don't know if you could tell I am shocked, just because
I know.
I honestly would have always have just expected this to be here. My $70 Chinese dash cam I have in my car has an app.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, do you think you could pull it up on your phone and, I recorded, let me download to my phone and do this to it? So yeah, but you can't do it. So
okay, well, this sounds like it's a very good feature then.
Like another also switch they just turned on, I guess so. Let's turn that switch on.
The built-in route planner will now let you set arrival state of charges. So you can say you want to get somewhere with 50% state of charge, and it will tweak all your charge time so that you get there at 50%. So that's awesome. If you're on a road trip, you're going to be somewhere for a couple of days, like maybe you don't have access to charging, but you still want to get out around town. You can do that. You don't have to try to do math yourself on like, the Tesla says I'm going to get there at 20%. I need to stay at this charger for some amount of time longer. That's great. Again, this is another feature. Knowing how robust Tesla's route planner is, I'm shocked that you haven't had this level of customization before.
And that would have helped on our trip to Austin, because when we said is we want to make sure we have enough at the hotel in case we want to go out to eat that night or the next morning, not have to charge. So if I was able to put in there, arrive at the hotel with 35%, that would have maybe helped me with my charging stops along the way of what I needed to do to get to that 35%.
Yeah. So also cool, and another feature I didn't know wouldn't have already been there. You can now route to other things on your route. So if you have your GPS set to Austin, Texas, and you get on along the road and you're like, hey, I'm kind of hungry. Is there a McDonald's close by? You can actually go and look and see if there's a McDonald's now close to your route. You don't have to get out of navigation, navigate to a McDonald's, get there, re-navigate to your destination.
Could you do that? I know you could add a stop. Is that different than adding a stop while you're traveling?
I don't know. It was listed as a new feature that you can now in the navigation search for additional stops along your route.
I mean, you can add I don't know how that differs from add a stop. I guess I'll have to go in there and play with it when I'm in my Tesla tomorrow, figure out what that's like. So yeah.
And then finally, the navigation will show a live weather radar now as well.
That's good. I'm happy.
That's pretty sweet.
Yes. That would have been great on our trip to Austin.
And I promise I'm not trying to rag on Tesla.
Yeah.
This is a huge update and they're adding a bunch of stuff and there's a lot of stuff in here I thought would have already existed. This next one is another. Tesla is adding rear cross traffic alerts. I didn't know they didn't have that already.
My wife's Kia has that. It goes beep, 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 beep if someone's pulling
My
behind you.
2019 Chevy Bolt
Yeah.
has rear cross traffic alert.
Yeah.
How the hell?
Yeah.
Sorry, pardon my French. How are you telling me that a 2024 Model 3
doesn't have to,
that can apparently drive itself, supervise, park itself, all of this stuff, didn't have the ability to warn you, like, hey, there's something coming.
Yeah.
When you're backing
it's
up.
great when you're pulling out of a parking lot and you hear the beep, 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 beep. It could be someone walking. It works great in my wife's Kia, someone walking, because sometimes you can't see, if you're parked beside a big car, especially your truck, you can't see what's going on. It's kind of like itch out until you can see.
Yeah.
But that feature should have been there for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. It's finally here, but yeah, I'm just shocked that it wasn't here before. Good job, Tesla.
Yes.
This is legitimately cool. Tesla's adding the ability to control the seats from the screen. So if you are a driver of a car and you had someone in the passenger seat who decided they needed to take a nap and then they got out and left the seat there, you can actually move the dang seat without getting out of the car, going to the passenger side and doing it from there. I only bring that up because every single time my sister rides in my car, she like lays down in the seat and then she never puts it back.
Because we all know Sebastian drives like...
Well, no, I'm not saying the driver's seat. Like, she'll lay down in the passenger seat, and then later someone else will go to get in, and the seat will be all the way back, or if someone will try to do something in the back seat.
My 16-year-old does the same thing. He's in there like he's lounging back there. My wife gets in, who's 5'2", and goes, "Whoa, what the heck?" This guy's like, "That's because your son was sitting there."
Yep. And so now you, Joel, as the driver, will be able to actually adjust the passenger seat from the driver's seat.
Or I could just let the person, when they get in, figure it out themselves. So. But this is key, because I will let you know this. One of the things that, we have seen with Teslas is those knobs breaking off on the seat. So this is kind of like a backup. If that were to happen, hey, my seat's, my wife, who was 5'2", sitting in the front, now my seat's messed up. I can't get it back anymore. There's got to be some sort of default way to get it back. Now you can do it through the screen, which works out really well. I will probably never use it. I mean, mine's just preset. When you get in the car, it reads my key, my phone key, and puts the seat where it needs to be. So there's not a lot of adjusting. But yeah, but for those people who have multiple people driving cars need to do it, it's great.
Yeah. Also, this is an interesting change, and that's a good change. Tesla is no longer hiding or holding traffic data behind the premium connectivity paywall. You will now be able to do traffic data on navigation, regardless of if you pay Tesla for data or not. That's great. That's excellent. Yeah. Cool. Cybertruck holiday update is going to allow the ability for you to upload your own custom wraps to the visualizations.
Yes.
Which I can't see that being abused at all.
And I had the picture of it. I lost the website. Let me go back here and kind of show you what that looks like. You pull up the site here. Talks amongst yourselves. Here we go. Share screen. And we are now back at it. So if you look here, you will see as we move forward.
No, I think you went too far.
I went too far. All right. There it is. There's the wrap. So you can see some colors, you can customize it, and things like that. I mean, you can kind of do it. You can do that with the model, with the 3X.
So you can change the colors.
You can change the color, but you can't wrap it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then part of this is that Tesla has published a GitHub page of how to build your own wraps and then add it to the car.
Gotcha.
So you can, in theory, if you wanted to, I don't see anything in the software that would keep somebody from deciding to put scantily clad women on their Cybertruck, for example, or men or whatever they're into.
Or
I don't know.
Rainbows and kitty cats and whatever they want to. Yes.
I mean, freedom of choice, right? Whatever you want, whatever floats your boat. Do what you want to do. It's your car. You paid $100,000 for it. Do what the heck you want with it. I mean, but this is an interesting, cool feature, but interesting.
Yes.
And honestly, there are so many other small features that we could add into this list. I mean, I've already probably said way more than I needed to say.
Yep. So it can fart on demand now. So it can fart on contact. So you got to mention that one. So when you touch the seat now, it will automatically fart for you. You don't have to push the button. We really needed that. That's one thing I've been hounding about. I want my car to fart on demand. And now we have that feature. So it's gonna I'm so happy. So I don't need Santa. I don't need anything this year. I got fart on demand. We're good.
Well, hey, there's new Santa too for Cybertruck.
Yes,
the
there
Cybertruck
is.
for Santa
There's
is
new
now
Santa, and he's driven by a Tesla bot in this picture. So yes, interesting.
So yeah, there's a ton of new stuff in this, and there's a ton of small tweaks and things like that.
New game, Boomerang, I believe. Boomerang Foo is a new game, so yes.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that. So there's already more stuff I didn't know. But yeah, I just figured we got a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really, and that's the thing. I don't use the Tesla app that much. I mean, my car is preconditioned in the mornings when I get in, and when I come in, I home and I charge it. So there's not. I mean, I have the Tesla app. I mean, the Tesla Watch app. I post a picture of it on X, what it looks like. You know, it looks like this picture. I mean, there's not really I need to do unless it's really cold in the wintertime. I want to precondition, then I can do it through the app. But it's probably just as quicker to do it, you know, on the phone than it is the watch. So yeah.
I mean, for me, the main thing of a watch would be, if I had a Tesla, would be that I could use my watch as a key.
Yep.
Because I'm someone, like, if I go out and I ride my bike, and I'm riding my bike, you know, for example, I don't necessarily want to have stuff in my pockets. I don't want to have a bag. I don't want to.
You want a fanny pack in front to put the phone in? The
ability to just basically leave my phone in the car or whatever.
But then the car won't lock if you do that.
If you I'm sure there's a way. I'm sure there's a way. Anyway, but just the ability that I'd be able to leave and only have my watch and know I can get back in the car would be pretty excellent. But yeah, and I'm just scrolling through the list real quick of anything else important. But yeah, there's just a ton of stuff. Go check it out on
Tesla does these holiday updates usually, but this is probably the biggest one in the 3 years that I've owned Teslas that they've come out with.
Yeah. And finally, another Tesla software update. Tesla has begun rolling out FSD V13. So FSD 13 has started rolling out to Tesla's early testers, which I don't know how they make you an early tester. I just know that it seems like it's the same 5 people every time.
I haven't gotten it.
Anyway, I'm not going to get too far into that. And of note, this is currently only available to those who have hardware 4 on their vehicles. And it's not currently available to Cybertruck, because Cybertruck is currently on its own branch of FSD separate from everybody else. For whatever reason. FSD 13, so far, there's just a couple it's some big improvements, but there's not anything like super groundbreaking yet. Primarily, one of the things they are pointing out is that you can now activate FSD from park. So you can be in your parking spot, get in, put your destination in, hit the stalk, and it will let you activate it from park. It can now reverse, and it can now park itself when it gets to the destination, which is pretty cool. I actually saw I don't remember who posted it on X, Twitter, whatever, but it was, they had activated FSD and got FSD to drive down a road that was blocked on one side by cars, and FSD actually did the Austin Powers thing of just back and forth. But I mean, still, it was cool that it did it, right?
So if you're watching us on YouTube, we have a whole list here on the screen, what it includes in the upcoming improvements. So you can read through that. Some of the stuff Sebastian's already mentioned. So
yeah, the other cool thing I saw was that it's actually running the FSD hardware 4 cameras at a much higher resolution than previous versions of FSD, and it's believed it's able to do this because it wasn't built for hardware 3.
Yep, I have hardware 3, so I will not see this.
So allegedly, according to Senor Musk, they will be upgrading those with hardware 3 to hardware 4 for free if hardware 3 can't run the newest versions of FSD. I'll believe it when I see it. But but yeah, I did think it was cool though that because this is built specifically for hardware 4, they're actually able to use the hardware at full capacity instead of kind of having to limit it to be on the same level as hardware 3. And version 13 brings, I think this is actually pretty cool, vehicle to fleet communication. So if your car is going down the road on FSD and suddenly it stumbles upon a road closure, or a car overturned in the ditch or something, right? Something that it would need to stop for, it can actually stop, reroute, and then upload that to where other vehicles on FSD that maybe are going towards the same location as you can then use that knowledge to navigate around the obstacle that you just hit. Yep. That is pretty dang cool, and I can see how that would be pretty powerful.
Waze. It's kind of similar to what Waze does, yeah.
But built into your car, actively learning, real time. Like, that is legitimately cool.
That is.
And that's kind of the level of stuff that will be needed if this whole robo-taxi thing is ever going to take off.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why when I do travel, I do always keep Waze in the background running, because sometimes Tesla's not responsive to, 20 minutes ago, a semi overturned 5 miles ahead. Waze can respond to that pretty quick and reroute me. Tesla may not, so, or they may be late to it. So I really like that, or I have to reroute it. So I'm glad they're bringing this to be more, dynamic and more intuitive when you're using FSD.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't have really anything else to add there. I'm excited to kind of see maybe as FSD 13 continues to be improved. I believe I didn't see anyone talk about it, but I thought FSD 13 was also supposed to bring the whole end-to-end for highway. But I didn't see it listed in that article that you just pulled up. So
I don't see it either. So yep.
Maybe I just made that up mentally.
Yep. I don't see it in there either. So you may have.
But anyway, all right. Well, that is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you for plugging into the Friday Charge. Be sure to subscribe to the EV Geek podcast on YouTube and tap the notification icon to be notified about new releases. We had some great content released this week, including a review of the BMW i5, Chef's Kiss, amazing, as well as the Kia EV6, which was also great.
Great.
And we have even more EGMP stuff in the pipeline that you won't want to miss. So if you have any thoughts or questions, drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. So long, everyone, and we'll see you again on the next episode of The Friday Charge.